What's been happening over the last 5 years, really, driven by a millennial culture, and we've all been talking about millennials for a while, but just for those of you who don't know, millennials were 20 at the time of the millennium, so some of them are now 39. But following behind them are a group now called Generation Z in advertising terms. And if you look at what's going on in the way that we do in terms of market research and cultural direction, there's a whole movement about them wanting to work with businesses and brands that aren't just not doing bad, that are actively doing good. Now that is a pressure that we've given a name to called individual collectivism. Collectivism, for those of you old enough to remember, 40s and 50s, where we gave up some of our rights for the greater good. We knew that the world needed saving. 80s and 90s was the growth in individualism, where we didn't really care what was going on in the world. We were only interested in what we were earning from it. Greed was good back in those days. What we've now got, driven by millennials and Generation Z, is an understanding that you have to give up something of what you've got to make the world a better place. Now that is a consumer movement, but that is also a corporate movement. It's an understanding that companies and brands, businesses and brands, have a place in helping the world. What we all know is that the problems of the world won't be solved by the governments of the world. What we know is that they will be solved by businesses, by brands, by entrepreneurs, by an empowered workforce. And that's what we're doing here. We're creating a collective called individual collectivism that we know is the pressure to change the world, to change the systems that are currently unfair. And by bringing that together, by bringing brands and businesses together, by bringing individuals together, creating a pressure, we are going to change the underlying economic systems. Now, that is what Blueprints is doing. And I was attracted to Blueprints because I think in 1998, I wrote a white paper called Brands of the Super Citizens of the New Millennium, where at the time they were more trusted than certain brands were more trusted than the police, than governments, than the clergy. That made a pressure for brands to step up and start doing things, to add value to the lives of their customers and to the lives of their customers and consumers. That is what this is about. That is reshaping the world, where we take the pressure off the individual and we put it somewhere else by changing the underlying economy and changing the way businesses do business and invest in businesses. And what we're doing in many ways is to bring that thinking together in a thing that we've called Challenge Room. We've already had one of these. We had a summit in the FT Global Impact Summit in Oxford 2 years ago. But what we're planning is to put the best minds in the world behind these challenge rooms, and they're coming together to solve a challenge. Investors, indigenous people, blueprint owners, and asset owners will come together to create business plans, bankable business plans, as Ernesto said, that will allow us to move forward rapidly, to scale rapidly, which is scaling our 50-50 economic development program. Thank you.